The first snow fell as Kazuo crossed the charred remains of his village. The ashes drifted softly, blending with the white flakes that blanketed the earth. The once great banners of the Yamamura clan lay torn upon the ground, trampled by the boots of enemies who had already vanished into the mountains. Kazuo's face remained still as stone. He had returned too late. His lord was dead. His comrades slain. The women and children gone, either scattered or taken. Only silence remained. Kazuo tightened the grip on his sword, its blade dulled from countless battles. Once, he had been a samurai of standing, a man of duty, bound by oath and honor. Now, he was nothing but a Ronin. Masterless, alone. In the ruins of the temple, he found what remained of his home, a single chest, blackened by fire but unbroken. Inside, beneath the layers of soot, lay a letter, unsealed, written in his own hand, weeks before the attack. It was a letter to his son, Hiroshi. Kazuo's breath caught as he unfolded the fragile paper. He had written it in hope, long before war had darkened their lives. "My son," it began, "the world is changing faster than we can draw our swords. You must learn to live beyond the blade, beyond vengeance." Kazuo's throat tightened as he read on. But as he reached the final line, his hands trembled. "But if fate tears us apart, find me where the winds whisper through the pines." Suddenly, a sound stirred beyond the temple walls, boots crunching through the snow. Kazuo's instincts flared. Enemies. He slipped the letter inside his robe and drew his sword, stepping into the courtyard where 3 men approached. Mercenaries, dressed in the colors of the rival Takeda clan. One pointed toward him with a sneer. "Another rat returns to its ruins," the man said. "Drop your blade and beg, old dog." Kazuo did not speak. Instead, he moved. His sword flashed faster than breath. The first man's throat opened in a crimson spray. The second barely raised his spear before Kazuo severed his wrist, then drove his blade into the man's chest. The last turned to flee, but Kazuo's dagger found his back, dropping him into the snow. Silence returned. Kazuo's breath fogged in the cold air, but his hands remained steady. These were not merely scavengers. They were sent to watch, to kill survivors. As he wiped his blade clean, Kazuo knew what must be done. This was no random raid. The Takeda clan had orchestrated the massacre, and somewhere beyond the mountains, their warlords still sat in comfort, believing the Yamamura were erased. But Kazuo remained. And before he left these lands forever, he would send one final message. With his sword. That night, he knelt in the ruins of his home, the letter to his son resting before him. By candlelight, he added a single line beneath his old words, written in precise strokes. "I will keep my promise, Hiroshi. I will wait where the pines whisper after the debt of blood is paid." Then he folded the letter carefully and tucked it away. In the morning, he would begin his journey, a path of no return. Kazuo left the ruins of his village before dawn. The cold wind stung his face as he walked through the mountain pass, leaving behind the valley where his ancestors had lived and died. He traveled lightly, only his sword, the letter to his son, and a pouch of rice. He needed nothing else. His destination was clear. The fortress of Lord Takeda Masanori, the warlord who had ordered the destruction of the Yamamura clan. Kazuo knew the way well. Once, they had been allies, bound by marriage and treaties. He had drunk tea in the Takeda court, walked those same halls as a guest. But those days were gone. Now he walked as a ghost. Along the mountain roads, Kazuo encountered no travelers, only signs of war. Abandoned villages, burned shrines, frozen bodies of farmers left to rot on the roadside. The Takeda were not merely conquering, they were erasing. As he walked, Kazuo remembered the night his village fell, though he had not been there to witness it. He had been away on campaign, serving a distant lord who had sworn loyalty to the Yamamura. When he returned, it was already too late. He had failed his clan, failed his son, and now only his sword remained to answer for it. By the third night, he reached the outskirts of Takeda territory. There, at an inn along the roadside, he found unexpected company. A lone traveler sat by the fire, his face hidden beneath a straw hat, his robe plain but finely made. Kazuo watched him carefully as he ate. The man looked up, sensing his gaze. "You walk with purpose," the stranger said, his voice calm, almost amused. Kazuo said nothing. The man chuckled softly. No need for words. I know the look of a man walking toward death. Kazuo's eyes narrowed. And what would you know of it? The stranger's smile faded slightly. Enough, he replied. I once wore the crest of the Takeda, before I saw what they became. Kazuo's grip tightened on his cup. Then you know their crimes. The stranger's gaze sharpened. I know they fear one thing, he said softly. Kazuo leaned forward, his voice low. What? The man's answer was a single word. Honor. Later that night, as the innkeeper slept, Kazuo and the stranger sat alone beneath the stars. The man revealed his name, Hajime. Once a Takeda retainer, now cast out for questioning the slaughter of innocents. I have no clan, Hajime said, but I still have my sword. Kazuo's eyes met his. I ride for their fortress, Kazuo said. Hajime nodded, unsurprised. Then you will need more than steel, Hajime said. He reached into his robe and withdrew a map, hand-drawn, marked with hidden paths and secret gates. I can guide you to the inner court, Hajime offered. But you must swear something first. Kazuo's voice was steady. Name it. Hajime's gaze burned with quiet fire. After you spill their blood, he said, leave nothing but ashes. Kazuo did not hesitate. I swear it. By dawn, they were already on the road together. Two outcasts, bound by vengeance. The path ahead was steep and treacherous, but neither man faltered. Kazuo's mind remained fixed on one goal. The letter in his robe felt heavier with every step. Not just a message to his son, but a confession. And perhaps his last. The mountains loomed higher as Kazuo and Hajime pressed deeper into Takeda territory. Snow began to fall again, thick, heavy flakes that muffled sound and veiled the road. By nightfall, they reached a hidden ridge overlooking the enemy's fortress. It was a monstrous thing of black stone and iron gates, nestled between two cliffs, guarded by dozens of soldiers. Torches lit every wall. Banners of the Takeda clan flapped in the cold wind, their crimson insignias glowing like embers. Kazuo's breath remained steady. This is where it ends, he murmured. Hajime's voice was low, respectful. I will take you as far as the inner gate, he said. After that, your sword must speak for itself. Kazuo nodded. He felt no fear, only clarity. They moved under cover of darkness, slipping through the narrow hunting trails Hajime had once patrolled as a retainer. At the fortress's rear wall, Hajime uncovered a hidden passage, concealed by rocks and overgrown trees, a forgotten servant's tunnel that led beneath the outer barracks. They crept inside, their footsteps silent as the wind. Inside, the fortress was alive with voices, drunken laughter, guards sharing sake by the fires, unaware that death walked their halls. In the shadows, Kazuo and Hajime reached the inner courtyard, where the main keep towered above the city like a black spear. Hajime pointed toward a narrow stairwell. That leads to the audience chamber, he whispered. He will be there. Kazuo's eyes burned with fierce purpose. Then I go alone from here. Hajime clasped his shoulder firmly. Walk with honor, Kazuo. Without another word, Kazuo slipped away. Inside the keep, the halls were nearly empty. Most of the guards were stationed outside, watching for armies, not a lone wolf with nothing to lose. Kazuo passed the chambers where councilmen once plotted, the rooms where banquets had been held, now silent but reeking of spilled wine and old smoke. At last, he reached the great doors of the audience chamber. He did not knock. He kicked them open. Lord Takeda Masanori sat upon his throne, dressed in layered silks and fur-lined robes, his sword resting lazily across his lap. His court was small tonight, only a handful of advisors and bodyguards. But every man froze at the sight of Kazuo standing in the doorway, sword in hand. Takeda's lips curled into a thin smile. Well, he said, his voice smooth as oil. The ghost returns. Kazuo's voice was like the clash of steel. I come for justice. Takeda's laughter echoed in the hall. You call it justice? He sneered. Your clan was weak. You were fools to think the old ways could save you. Kazuo's eyes never left him. You betrayed our alliance, Kazuo said. Takeda's gaze sharpened. I did what every ruler must, he said coldly. I killed weakness before it could spread." His words carried no shame, only pride. Kazuo took a step forward, sword raised. But Takeda's guards moved faster, drawing their blades and surrounding him. Still, Kazuo showed no fear. "You can kill me," he said, his voice steady. "But my blade will find its mark first." Takeda's smile faded. He could see it in Kazuo's eyes. This was no bluff. This man had come to die, and he would drag his enemy with him. With a sharp cry, Kazuo moved. Steel clashed in a blur. The first guard fell in seconds, his throat opened cleanly. Kazuo spun, cutting through the second before he could raise his weapon. The others attacked, but Kazuo's rage was a storm, swift and unstoppable. He fought not like a man, but like a force of vengeance itself. The chamber became a slaughterhouse, screams echoing against the high walls. And at the center of it all, Kazuo stood covered in blood, breathing hard, but alive. Only Takeda remained. The warlord tried to rise, scrambling for his sword, but Kazuo's blade was already at his throat. Takeda's voice trembled for the first time. You'll doom yourself." Kazuo's reply was calm. "I already have." With a single, swift stroke, it was done. Takeda fell, lifeless, his reign ended in an instant. Kazuo stood in the silent hall, surrounded by the dead, the weight of his vengeance fulfilled. But there was no triumph, only emptiness. He staggered slightly, exhaustion washing over him. Then he reached inside his robe, pulling out the letter. The one meant for Hiroshi. He stared at it, his hands trembling. "My promise," he whispered. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind him. Hajime appeared, sword drawn, face unreadable. "You did it," Hajime said softly, glancing at the bodies. Kazuo nodded, his voice weak. "It's finished." Hajime's eyes lingered on him, unreadable. Then, in a quiet voice, he asked, "And what now, samurai?" Kazuo's answer was almost a whisper. "Now, I go to the place where the pines whisper." The fortress burned behind them as Kazuo and Hajime disappeared into the snowy mountains. By dawn, Takeda's banners were nothing but ashes carried by the wind. No soldiers pursued them. None remained who dared. For days, they traveled in silence, leaving the world of war behind. Kazuo's body bore deep wounds, some from battle, others from years of carrying grief. But he pressed on, driven by a quiet, unwavering purpose. He said little, speaking only when necessary. The letter to his son remained tucked inside his robe, close to his heart. At last, after many days, they reached a hidden valley deep within the pine forests. A place Kazuo had spoken of only once, long ago, to his son. It was a quiet glade surrounded by towering trees, where the wind sighed softly through the branches like whispers from another world. Here, no armies had marched. No swords had fallen. Just stillness. Kazuo stopped at the edge of the clearing, his breath visible in the cold air. "This is where I swore I would wait for him," he said softly. Hajime nodded in understanding. Kazuo's eyes were tired but peaceful. "I've kept my promise," he added. That night, they built a small shelter among the trees. Kazuo's strength was fading. He could feel it, deep in his bones. The wounds from the battle, the long journey, his body could bear no more. By the firelight, he unfolded the letter one last time, smoothing its worn edges with steady hands. And, slowly, he added the final words. "I have paid the debt of blood. I wait where the pines whisper, as I promised. Find me here, my son, if the wind still carries my name." He folded it carefully, sealing it with a simple knot of thread. Then, with great effort, he handed it to Hajime. "Will you carry this to him?" Kazuo asked. Hajime's gaze was steady, respectful. "I will." Kazuo gave a faint, grateful smile. "You have the heart of a true samurai," he said. Hajime bowed deeply, accepting the letter. Later that night, beneath the stars, Kazuo sat alone, staring up at the dark sky. The wind stirred through the pines, whispering softly, as if speaking to him. And slowly, peacefully, he closed his eyes. By morning, Kazuo had passed. Seated in meditation, his sword resting across his lap, he looked as if he merely slept, calm, proud, untouched by sorrow. Hajime buried him beneath the tallest pine, marking the grave with a simple stone. Then, With the letter secured inside his robe, he set off down the mountain. Months later, far from the valley, a young man named Hiroshi received the letter from a traveler cloaked in pine-scented robes. He read every word by candlelight, his hands trembling, tears falling freely as he reached the final line. Without a word, he gathered his sword and supplies and set off toward the northern mountains. Some say he reached the valley years later. Others say he still wanders, searching for the place where the pines whisper. But all who knew the tale remember this, that in the end, Kazuo kept his oath, and his story became a quiet legend of loss, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between father and son.